Sports Network, ESPN 94.9, The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Welcome into the George Plaster Show on another beautiful Wednesday here in Nashville. A little bit sunnier today, a little bit hotter as well, but it's supposed to stay relatively comfortable here in Nashville these next few days. So hopefully you guys get out and enjoy those temperatures. We're going to enjoy some more sports talk today. We're going to continue to talk more college football. We'll talk a lot of Vanderbilt today. We'll be joined by Clark Lee at the 4 o'clock hour to begin that hour. We're also going to talk Titans, of course, with Terry McCormick, as always. But we're going to kick it off out in Murfreesboro with Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, what's going on?
What's up, Billy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. No glasses today. I saw you creeping in with those before I
still got them. I mean, I can literally wear them. You know what I'm saying? Like yesterday, kind of crazy.
I don't know.
Yesterday, I saw an interview. I didn't watch the interview, but I saw an interview with Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin, and Troy Aikman was wearing those.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
George, I would love for you to put those on a surprise George one day, just to hear what he says.
Well, all this blue light that's going in our eyes, man. Of course, I'm a nutrition. I'm a health fanatic, and all this blue light that's going in our eyes don't know what to do with it, and it's causing people to go, lose their eyesight. So I wear those things a bunch.
I don't blame you. I've got some myself. And speaking of blue, we're going to talk more Titans. Get the latest on the two-tone blue with Terry McCormick from TitanInsider.com, Main Street Media. Terry, what's going on?
Not much. Kelly, let me see the glasses again.
The glasses.
Nice. I think my mom had a pair that looked like that back about 1974.
That's right. Well, mine are not that old, but hey, if they hit my eyes, I'm going to wear them. I don't care.
Terry, I want to start with what happened today, obviously, on the waiver wire. We're still about 11 days out from the season opener out in Denver, but what kind of waiver claims the Titans make today?
Picked up 4 guys, all on defense. They picked up 2 defensive backs, a guy named Samuel Womack, who had been with the Colts last year, had a couple of interceptions. In fact, one of them was against Mason Rudolph and the Titans. The other guy was Jalen Armour-Davis, former Alabama Crimson Tide corner, who was let go by Baltimore. He has a connection with Denard Wilson. He's supposedly an extremely talented guy, just has had a serious injury history during his first 3 years in the league. So Ravens moved on from him, and the Titans pounced on him. The other 2 guys neither of them have ever played in an NFL regular season game. One of them, and I hope I'm not butchering his name. He's a linebacker that was just here last Friday night with the Minnesota Vikings. His name is, let me get it right here, Dorian Mousey, and he's an inside linebacker. And then the other is C.J. Ravenall. He is a defensive lineman from the Ravens who spent all last season on their practice squad. So, not exactly star power names that you're finding them snagging there, or heralded guys, with the possible exception of Armour-Davis, but guys that can plug in and fill in some depth roles for them.
Did you expect more today from the Titans? Obviously, it's hard to expect a whole lot from waiver claims, but did you expect a little bit, maybe not in numbers, but splash in terms of some different names?
Yeah, I thought maybe they would make a couple of more moves, but now they did also add Shy Tuttle, the former Tennessee Vol defensive lineman. He'll slide in and replace Timmy Horn as depth there. And then the other thing is, of course, when you claim somebody, you got to let somebody go. They let 5 players go. Gabe Judy Lolly was one. Timmy Horn, who I mentioned before, was one. Curtis Jacobs, a linebacker, was one. And let's see, the others, Corey Levin was one. And now he's coming back to the practice squad because they're going to need that guy. He is, the guy who was their primary center throughout all the offseason. I think it's really just kind of roster gymnastics with him. They're going to bring him back to the practice squad. And then they also signed a few guys, all these guys except for one that they brought back to their practice squad, the biggest name being obviously James Prochet, who could handle the return duties. And then also Xavier Restrepo, Trevor Simeon, quarterback, who will be on the practice squad. And then I guess kind of the guy who just cannot be killed off, Mason Kinsey, is back on the practice squad.
He's back. Terry, you mentioned Shy Tuttle, of course, played at Tennessee, and that's just a one-year deal. But it got to thinking, what's the latest with T'Vondre Sweat with some of his issues? Do you think he goes in Denver? And was adding Shy Tuttle based on that fact that we may not see T'Vondre Sweat in Denver?
Well, it's a good question. I think Sweat is expected to practice this week and expected to give it a go and be ready to go against the Broncos. But who knows what his stamina is going to be like? He's a big guy. He's, probably lost some weight in the aftermath of having his tonsils taken out and all that stuff. So you wonder if the conditioning combined with the altitude in Denver might limit his snaps in week one. So getting Shy Tuttle to go with James Lynch as the other backup is probably a pretty good move for this team, just to kind of shore up the depth on the D-line.
Terry, what are the different rules now? And it's been going on for a long time. When I came in the NFL with the practice squad, it was only, you could only be on the practice squad, I think, when I was in the league for 2 years. But and it couldn't be a veteran. You couldn't have veterans on there. Can they put anybody on the practice squad now? And how many guys do they take on the practice squad? Because when I played, it was only 5.
Well, now it's up to 16, and you can
Is
have
it really?
17. You can have a 17th if it's a guy who's an international player like Thomas Odukoya, who's now, I think, on his 3rd or 4th season on the practice squad. And there's really not a limit. Mason Kinsey is living proof of that. He's been on the practice squad now for at least 5 years here with the Titans. And no limit to the amount. I think you can have up to 6 veterans on the practice squad, guys with more than 3 years of experience. So that's how they're able to add Corey Levin and James Prochet and guys like that.
Wow.
Terry, last thing from me, what does Josh Wiley's future at tight end look like? Obviously, it looks like Gunnar Helm has sort of taken his spot, the Titans draft pick, and he probably wasn't the biggest fan of that Gunnar Helm draft pick, but what does his future look like?
Probably somewhere else. Doesn't look like he's not among the list of guys that's on the practice squad. So it's probably somewhere else for him. Possibly could land in New England with Mike Vrabel. But, I mean, a guy with his size is probably going to get a shot at least somewhere on the practice squad. I would think that, that's probably a given. But, I mean, the way it works in the league, once you're on the street, sometimes, it takes a little while to get adjusted and get another opportunity. So we'll see.
We'll see. 11 days away, Titans and Broncos out in Denver. Terry McCormick, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and looking forward to more of your coverage.
All right, thanks.
All right, that's Terry McCormick, Titans Report, daily Titans update. Always good to hear about the two-tone blue. We got more NFL notes and college football as well in today's news update, brought to you by Football Night in Nashville. We're getting ever so closer to September 4th, beginning of the NFL season. Meet us out there, Sports and Social out in Green Hills. We got the Eagles and the Cowboys kicking things off. So we'd love to see you. We got Papa Shot trivia, all kinds of different things. So come out and join us. We'll be there every Thursday moving forward in the throughout the football season. So come out and join us September the 4th. Kelly, I'm going to start today with some NFL news out of Kansas City. Rashee Rice has accepted a 6-game suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. He will start serving the suspension at the beginning of the season. He'll be eligible to return Week 7 for the Chiefs in their game against the Raiders. And, of course, back in July, he was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 5 years in probation for his role in a multi-car crash in Dallas that left multiple people injured during the 2024 season. So we'll see what happens with Rashee Rice. That's tough midway through the season coming in with the team without having practice, but we should see him Week 7 against the Raiders. And Terry mentioned the Patriots being a team that could potentially pick up Josh Wiley, Titans tight end. Well, they bolstered their quarterback room, and they have picked up Tommy DeVito, who we just mentioned yesterday was released by the Giants. They picked DeVito up on waivers to make room for him. They are planning on releasing veteran receiver Kendrick Bourne, who hasn't done a whole lot, but the Patriots are releasing him, and they've been in the market for a third quarterback since releasing undrafted free agent Ben Woolridge. And Kelly, this makes me think, Terry mentioned, kind of life on the street as an NFL player, and specifically as a quarterback. What is that like? I'm sure different points in your career, there were times probably where, early you probably knew, had a good feeling you'd be picked back up. Later, maybe it gets a little bit more stressful and figuring out whether or not you'll be picked up. But what's life like on the street in the NFL?
I mean, it's not fun. It really isn't. And when you're from Middle Tennessee State, as it was, it wasn't a group of five back then. It was a small school, and not many people knew about you. I went to the combine, and I stayed the whole time. I threw to all the guys. I not only came for the quarterback stuff, but I threw to all the receivers, through the tight ends, the running backs, and I stayed the whole time just to try to get for people to know me. And it's that's a tough time because you're trying to make it, Billy, and not many people know you. And when you're young and you're on the street, sometimes that phone doesn't ring, man. And it's you start thinking, you're like, is this what I'm cut out to do? Am I going to be able to make it? And once I kind of established myself, like my third year in the league, you understand that, hey, my place on this team and where I'm at on the team and the situation on this team, I'm not going to get cut, so you could rest easy. But, those first couple of years, man, it's excruciating. I can remember my wife and myself, it was the last cut down day, and we were at church, and my quarterback coach actually called me, and he said, "Have you talked to Lindy and Fonnie yet?" And I was like, "No, I hadn't talked to Coach and Fonnie." And he was like, "I just wanted to tell you before he calls you that you made the team." And we just burst into tears, man, because I'd been trying to make it, and it was such a good feeling. But when you're on the street, it sucks.
Well, a player that's not going to end up on the street is Anthony Richardson of the Colts. Their decision to name Daniel Jones as their starter doesn't mean he's going anywhere, according to general manager Chris Ballard. During a news conference, when asked whether Richardson might be available in a trade, Ballard said, "We're not trading him." So they are not giving up on Richardson yet, despite their past decisions and what that means for the optics. Obviously, he's still not in a good spot, but Shane Steichen, of course, did temporarily bench him for 2 games last season, replacing him with Joe Flacco. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Richardson. I mean, good for him. He's hanging around, Kelly, but it definitely feels like he's walking on some thin ice.
It truly is. And what he did last year, I can't believe. It's hard for me as a coach, and I'm an old school guy, and I'm a traditional guy, but what he did last year when he came off the field, because he said he was tired, and it was the last part of the game where you need your quarterback in the game, and he did that. I think you lose respect like that as a player, and they're going to keep him to try to save face, but I don't know, man. I don't know if he can ever be accurate enough to play in the NFL and be consistent. I just really don't.
Well, speaking of accuracy, Arch Manning has shown to be pretty accurate. Obviously, didn't play a whole lot last year at Texas, outside of a couple of starts against Monroe and Mississippi State, and some relief appearances. But he was asked yesterday if he was mentally prepared to have that X on his back all season long, with everybody coming to play against them. And he had an interesting response to that question. Check it out from Arch Manning.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is what I've been waiting for. Spent 2 years not playing, so might as well go have some fun, right?
What do you like most about road environments?
I like how it's just kind of you versus everyone, or your team versus everyone. So it's just us out there, and you don't have to worry about anything else besides just playing ball.
Are you mentally prepared to have that huge X on your back all season long where everybody is going to be coming for you?
I mean, I think that's all of us at Texas, and I think we kind of try to shift the narrative. We're going for everyone else. Target's not on our back. We have the red dot on everyone else.
So there you go. Arch Manning. They got the red dot on everybody else. The more I think about Arch Manning and what he can do this year, Kelly, it's things like that. The confidence, the swagger. Not every quarterback has that level of confidence, and he's got to go out there and do it on the field. But man, the more I think about what he can do and the time that he spent as a backup, as not the guy, now he's the guy. I get more excited every day about what he could do.
Do you really? I don't know. Like, yeah, I saw a podcast. Well, not saw a podcast. I saw an excerpt from a podcast of Peyton talking about how accurate he was, and he said he can make throws that I can't make, and it's going to be interesting to see. I think he's more like his grandfather. Like if you watch some of those New Orleans Saints
He
old
was big.
days back in the day, yeah, he could run. He ran around. He wasn't kind of the pocket guy. He could do that, but he wasn't the pocket guy of Peyton or Eli. They had a totally different game. But his grandfather, Archie was all over the place and he made plays. Now that was because he didn't have a great offensive line, but I think I can't believe I didn't realize how big he was till last year. Like he's a
Mhm.
big, thick
Yep.
kid. And man, Peyton and those guys, they're big people. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this year. And he's going to start right off the bat. And I think everybody's looking forward to that game going to Ohio State.
Well, there's other college news I wanted to touch on, and maybe we can touch on this a little bit later as a discussion point and even take some calls on it. But according to Brett McMurphy of On3 Sports, North Carolina and Virginia are both attractive to both the SEC and the Big Ten in expansion. And we've heard about the North Carolina talk and how the SEC likes the idea of potentially adding North Carolina. But it sounds like from this report from Brett McMurphy, they also like North Carolina. They all throw Virginia in there as well. So Big Ten will be expanding soon. We know that. The SEC will as well. But who the teams will be and what role Notre Dame plays in that is really interesting. So I'm going to kind of table that, Kelly, because I think that's interesting. North Carolina and Virginia, if you're the SEC, are you able to get those? And what does that conference realignment and expansion continue to look like? I'm going to throw that out there for a little bit later. Speaking of North Carolina, Bill Belichick has named Gio Lopez as the Tar Heels starting quarterback, the South Alabama transfer. He'll give it a go on Monday night against TCU when they kick off the Belichick era. Belichick said he made good strides in adapting to Chip Lindsey's offense since joining the team after the spring portal window. So that'll be interesting. I'm out of all the games this weekend, I might be most interested to see what that looks like on Monday because, I mean, he's never coached at the college level. We're going to be watching him in a North Carolina polo on the sidelines. I might be most intrigued to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows what they got. And I've seen Gio Lopez play and at West Alabama. He's a thick kid. He runs around. So,
Yeah.
hey, I think that is going to be an intriguing matchup. I think that's everybody's going to be interested to see just how they play and how he coaches in the college style.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. It's also going to be fun to see this Ryder Cup as we close things out next month. Keegan Bradley didn't pick himself for the Ryder Cup squad. He did not call his own name, deciding against becoming the first playing captain in 62 years. Instead, he names Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns as his 6 captains for the Ryder Cup in New York next month. Kelly, he would have been the first Ryder Cup playing captain since Arnold Palmer in 1963. That surprised me a little bit.
I had a feeling he was going to do that, man. That's a lot there's a lot going on at the Ryder Cup for those 3 days, and he got to look at matchups. Now I know he's got like Kevin Kisner and all those guys helping him assistant wise, but there's a lot of information going on, and I just don't know how you do that in today's world and today's technology and all this stuff and trying to figure out matchups and doing all that stuff. I just don't know how. I wasn't sure how he was going to be able to get that done, and I had a feeling that he was going to axe himself and bring somebody else on.
Man, I love Kiz. You mentioned him. He's not playing. Is he playing?
No. He's just he's helping. He's one of the assistant. Like I don't know what it's called. It's like a co-captain or something like that. But yeah, he's helping Keegan Bradley with all that. So yeah, and I enjoy Kevin Kisner on the NBC telecast. I think he's pretty good. I don't know. I think he's still playing a little bit, but I think he's kind of gone the broadcast route, which is I think he's really good at it.
He's good. He's hilarious. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be next month in New York with the Ryder Cup. It'll be fun to watch. Obviously, right in the middle of football season. Something else will be fun to watch is all these football games coming up this weekend. Of course, Vandy kicks it off against Charleston Southern Saturday night. We'll touch a little bit on that. Maybe talk a little high school football as well with Mike Organ from the Tennessean coming right up here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
A golf cart from Mikey's Motors is the perfect way to get around this summer. Whether you're going to the park, the pool, or the playground, do it in a brand new golf cart from Mikey's Motors, Franklin and Murfreesboro.
Summertime fun in Tennessee. That's what we sell at Mikey's Motors. Come see how we roll.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. Your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
Tonight, the Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Charlotte. Pre-game at 6:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
All right, welcome back. The George Plaster Show here on 94.9 The Fan on a day here in Nashville, and we're keeping it rolling with Mike Organ. Time for his weekly visit from the Tennessean. Mike, how about this weather? This is rare for this time of year. How you doing?
Hi, this is incredible. I didn't worry at all about going out to football practices this week. I actually look forward to it, going out there and standing, watching the most boring thing in the world, which is the college football practice. There's a lot of writers and reporters make a big deal out of it and act like it's such a huge thing. Actually, especially in the NFL, and act like they can really tell something from it, but none of them can. Nobody knows what's going on out there, but they'll see some guy make a big catch and they'll make a big deal out of that or whatever. But back to your point, it was nice being out there this week.
Yeah, man. How about this guy stretching over here? It looks bigger this season, and all those takeaways. That's a good point, Mike.
Even when you can watch all go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, even when we used to could watch all of practice, unless it was a scrimmage with the ones against the twos or ones against the ones, that's the only time you could really tell anything. And now they don't scrimmage that much, and they don't let you stick around more than about 20 minutes. So, like you said, after a stretch, that's about it. You got to head out. So it's so funny to hear people report from practices to me.
It is. Well, I know you've been out at TSU frequently this preseason. They've got North Carolina A&T and the John Merritt Classic at Nissan on Saturday at 3:30. Reggie Barlow, obviously year one, not going to be easy for a lot of this season. I know they were picked 8th in the conference. What are the chances that TSU and Coach Barlow are able to overachieve this season?
Well, I think they're going to be better than they were predicted. That prediction came before anybody saw any of, he brought in 40 players. And, more and more it's hard to make predictions these days with all the influx. I'm sitting here doing something on all of our players from Nashville, all of our college players from Nashville, where they are, like Marcel Reed at Missouri and our Sensei Broom's son, who's up at Boston College. And I'm working on Central Florida. Central Florida brought in 69 players. I mean, that's a complete team. And, I'm doing something on a former lineman from here in Nashville, and they brought in 7 offensive linemen. So who can make these predictions? I mean, they never were very accurate to start with, and now they're really not accurate. But Tennessee State was picked low, and it was understandable because Eddie George left, and they lost a lot of key players last year because it was a good football team, a lot of upperclassmen, and a lot of players followed Eddie to Bowling Green. But the more and more I've been hearing over the last 2 or 3 weeks is that Tennessee State's going to be better than expected. And, it always comes down to quarterback, Billy, and they do have what looks like a good quarterback in Jonathan Palmer. That's Carson Palmer's nephew and Jesse Palmer's nephew. And he looks pretty good. So if you got a good quarterback, that's a good place to start. And they have a good offensive line. And I always pin anything on the offensive line. So they'll warm up with North Carolina A&T, which is not very good at all. But we'll find out how good they are next week, Tennessee State, when the defending champions, North Dakota State, comes into town and plays at Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, you mentioned Marcel Reed at A&M, obviously played at NBA and very close with his dad, Rod, of course, who was at TSU. That got me thinking that story you're working on, tracking former Middle Tennessee high school stars and where they're at now. Who are some of those guys because all the time, Mike, I see I'll be looking at a roster, whether it's from the ACC or the Big South. And, there's a kid who came from Middle Tennessee. Who were some surprises that maybe caught you off guard, and some people that maybe some of our listeners may not even know of that played in Middle Tennessee?
Well, first of all, the obvious are out there, like Berrien Brown, who played at Pearl Cone and then was outstanding at Kentucky the last 3 years and has transferred to LSU, where he's just going to be that much better. So he and Marcel are a couple of the obvious ones, along with Junior Sherrill from Lipscomb Academy, who's out at Vanderbilt. And I'm trying to think. there's a big lineman from Brentwood Academy who's heading into his second or third year starting. That's Noah Josie. I covered his daddy, Brian, when he was at Vanderbilt. And so he's one that was on the radar. Some that weren't on the radar, I guess. We're talking about Tennessee State and Eddie George. Well, Eric George was good on the FCS level. Now it's going to be interesting to see how he can do on the FBS level because, like we were discussing, he's one of those guys that moved on with his daddy, and he'll be at Bowling Green. And I was checking the roster earlier, and he's number one on the depth chart heading into his junior year. Not surprising since his daddy's the coach, but it'll be interesting to see if he can make that transition to FBS because coming out of NBA, everybody thought he was kind of a tweener between FCS and FBS, and he chose FCS because Eddie was there. But I think you could see now, I think we could see him play on the FBS level, and I think he's got a shot at getting drafted. At least he's got a shot at playing in the NFL.
Speaking of high school stars, Mike, and I forgot to ask you last week what you thought about some of last week's games in the high school level here in Nashville. Last week had some good ones. This week they get even better. Riverdale is at Father Ryan. Obviously, Father Ryan looks a lot different this year under Zach Bettenberger. Pearl Cone is at CPA on Friday, but one that I'm really looking for is Ensworth and Nashville Christian, a talented Ensworth team going up against Jared Curtis, a guy that, of course, you've talked a lot about. What was your reaction to some of week one in high school football? What are you looking forward to most this week?
Well, speaking of Jared Curtis, they opened with Davidson Academy, I believe. And is that right?
Yeah, they opened with them last week. They were at Davidson Academy.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. And Davidson Academy just had no answer for him. And that's kind of been the problem with Jared is that he's such a good player, but a lot often the competition just doesn't even come close to matching him or giving him any kind of a challenge. So yeah, I really look forward to him getting a challenge Friday night because he started exactly like we thought he would, and but. Obviously, we thought he would because of the competition. So I'm looking forward to that. But Pearl Cone CPA, I'm so glad they're playing. And both teams started the season last week. Pearl Cone obviously had a little bit of trouble with the NBA, but Pearl Cone's always going to be good. Brunetti makes such good adjustments from one game to the next, from first half to the second half, and I really look forward to seeing how they do in the second game.
Yeah, that was a tough loss for them last week at NBA, an NBA team that should be a lot better this season. We're talking to Mike Organ from the Tennessean. Kelly, what you got?
Well, for one, Mike, Billy took some of my questions, so good gracious, I'm having to scramble. I'm going to call him George Jr. today. You know what I'm saying?
It must be the seat, Kelly.
I don't know. Hey, so Mike, tell me this. There's a big controversy in the private school division because everybody up here is upset about Macaulay and Baylor and they boarding kids and doing all that. And I talked to a coach the other day, and he is not in that area, but he's a private school coach, and he's got a couple of Canadian kids. And he's got a host family for them. So is that where we're going in high school football? Like, I know we're getting so many kids from Canada, because I know for a fact that my buddy who's at Macaulay, and I got another buddy at Baylor, they're coming in droves from Canada down here, and then they can send them back up there, and they can get a year of school, and then bring down here where they were only supposed to get one more year, and they get 2 years. They're giving them 2 years. So the TSSAA is going to have to do something with that. But is that kind of where we're going in the private school division? Because it seems like that's happening more and more. And I'm sure there's some kids that are being boarded or have a host family here in Nashville. So I don't know if you're hearing any of that, but it seems like that's the way of the future for all this stuff in private schools.
Well, Kelly, it's interesting you bring that up because as I was working on this story that Billy and I were discussing, I'm looking at all these players and where they're from, all of our top players that are in college now. And they're all private schools almost, with the exception of a few from Ravenwood and a few from Oakland. But Most of them are MBA, Lipscomb Academy, Franklin Road Academy, CPA. That just bottom line, that's where most of them are from. And I'm sitting here thinking, I was thinking about it earlier. As I was writing, I was thinking, nobody from Nashville, no Nashville public schools, obviously. And I thought, well, that's where we are today. It's all private schools who are going to produce the best players. They go out and get the best players to start with, and then they have the facilities to develop them better than any of the private schools, obviously. And they have the best coaches because they can afford the best coaches. So that's where that was the next step that we've already taken. And to your point, I was thinking, what's the next step? Something's got to happen where these guys start to separating themselves from each other. And I think you're right. That's going to be one of the big ways, is to board these kids and just drill football into their head. This is all they'll do. And it'll be around the clock monitoring, making sure they're fed right, get the proper nutrition and practices and everything else. You have a watch over them, give them a curfew, make sure they don't stay out too late, stay up too late. Yeah, I think that's the next step, because I can't think of anything else. We've already, separated them from the public schools.
Mike, this just came to me. So it feels like the TSSAA is just a microcosm of what the NCAA is. They're just kind of holding on by a thin thread. And do you think at some point the private schools in the near future or down the road just say, hey, we don't need the TSSAA. We can do our own thing, kind of like we've talked about on our show with the big conference, with the super conference, I think that's coming at some point. But do you think the private schools of Tennessee could get away at some point from the TSSAA?
Yeah, absolutely, and we heard that even before we saw what happened with the NCAA. And by the way, Kelly, we haven't talked since the ninth conference game was added in the SEC, which is another step toward the super conference, because now it's just every week you're playing another powerhouse. So, but back to your question, yes, and we always felt like that, going all the way back to when the private public school debate started. There were a lot of people that said they were going to leave the TSSAA, not private schools, but the public schools, because they were so upset about what the TSSAA was allowing the private schools to do. And now you've got private schools that get upset because they're restricted and not allowed to do everything they want to do. So, yeah, it's a volunteer organization. They pay the TSSAA to be part of it. And, yeah, if enough of them could get together, there's so much difference now, Kelly. If you go out and watch Hunters Lane and McGavock play, and you go and watch NBA and CPA or play, there's just or Innsworth and CPA. There's so much difference between the two types of schools now that they may as well go ahead and split it up and be in two divisions.
Well, I'm gonna add to that. Like every year I do the state championship games, and I always see, because the last 6 years, I think, or 5 or 6 years, my buddy's been in the championship game at McCallie, and I was down there on the sideline, and just talking about the players. There were 2 offensive linemen that walked out from Baylor, and like those teams, Mike, they don't even look like high school teams anymore. They're college teams. They look like small. I don't even know if they look like small colleges. They look like big colleges now. And with all these kids coming in from Canada, it's wild the size of these players now, and it's literally not high school football anymore. It's on the verge of being like the SEC and the Super Conference being just another step towards the NFL. Well, high school with the private schools in this state, it's amazing the type of talent and the type of size that these young men have.
Yeah, I think that on the level you're talking about, those schools are now what we've always thought of, not just as college preparatory, but even more intense than that. I mean, college prep was one thing, and I think that's what these have become. And I think that level has even become bigger and more focused and zeroed in on simply preparing these players for college. And I didn't know about the Canada players. That was so usually with what you told me about that with your friend that's at Macaulay. That's just another thing. You know, it seems like you hear something new every week, and that's just something else to add to the list of how these guys are figuring out how to try to get a step up on each other.
Well, that's another thing that I heard the other day from that coach. He was telling me that they're sending kids down here up to school in Canada, and then they're bringing them back, and instead of having 1 year left, they're getting 2 years left. So he was thinking, he was saying that I think the TSSAA is going to do something about that. But, like, it's just there's all kind of ways around this stuff, and it seems like high school football is getting – I mean, the private school division in this state is getting exactly like college, man. They're recruiting kids. They're boarding them. They're giving them training tables. Like, if you go to Macaulay and, you know, with my buddy being down there, I mean – they've got so much money, and Ted Turner, all they got to do is call Ted Turner and ask him for some cash, and he sends them a check. I mean, it's like a college campus.
And our high schools around here have that kind of that. You know, Ted Turner is you know one thing, but we've got some guys around here that can help out in that way with all the country music people that we have in this area, and they have kids in schools. You know, we saw a lot of that at Innsworth. We've seen it at NBA. But the deal about Canada, that's just, you know, it just seems like they come up with something new every day to take that step up, that next step up. And the TSSAA is just going to have to keep making rules. And eventually, like you said, I think some of these schools are just going to say, hey, we don't need your rules anymore. We're going to do what we need to do, and we're going to get better and better, and we don't need you holding us back.
Mike, appreciate the time on the way out. Does Tennessee handle Syracuse, you think?
Oh, yeah. I think I picked Tennessee by 2 touchdowns, 14 points, and Vanderbilt by about 5 touchdowns in their opener.
Okay, there you go. You got Mike's picks this week. Might have to start a new part of this segment with Mike. Really appreciate the time. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy all the football.
Okay, you two guys, and I cannot wait till George is back next week, just chomping at the bit.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.
All right, see you.
That's Mike Organ from the Tennessean. Kelly, let's react to some of what – that's an interesting conversation about how these private schools are turning into, you know, not billion dollar, but I mean, probably not far from from that with what they've.
Well, first off, Billy, what are you laughing at? Are you laughing at me? Am I getting emotional? What's the deal?
No,
what are you laughing at?
You were fired up. I like that. I was just
I've known that my buddy's been getting recruits from Canada for a decade, and now everybody else is catching on. Baylor's catching on. Baylor had to start catching up with what Macaulay was doing, so they've done it. And now, I mean, there was a team the other day that he had some Canadian kids, and there were a couple of Canadian kids, I think, down here that went to web school. And I mean, all those kids are trying. They're bigger up there. They get a bunch of offensive linemen up there. They like my buddy a couple of years ago had a DB that he was a corner, and like he was 6'3", could run, and his it looked like his knuckles touched the ground. Like he had long arms. It was just crazy. But they've got a pipeline down here, and that was the first time that I'd heard about. Now families are hosting players, and you know, what is the TSSAA going to do? I mean, it's boarding, and then that's what all these Nashville schools are about, because I don't think any of the Nashville schools are boarding schools, are they?
No, I think Innsworth may have a sector of that, but no, I don't.
That's what's going to start happening with these Nashville schools. If they're going to let Macaulay and Baylor keep getting away with it, then they're going to start bringing players in, and they're going to start sitting down with families, and they're going to talk to these families and say, hey, can you host 1 or 2 of these young men? We'll pay for their food, we'll pay for all that, but can you have them in your house and host them? And that's what's coming to the private school in Nashville. I promise you. If the TSSAA is going to allow the teams in Chattanooga who are kind of dominating the private school division right now, if they're going to allow them to do it, then I guarantee you these teams in Nashville are going to figure out how to do it as well.
We'll talk more about those Canadian national teams. Keep it right here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a race and sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs. Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. The George Plaster Show alongside Kelly Holcomb. I'm Billy Derrick. It is 3:48 on a beautiful Wednesday here in Nashville. Kelly, you brought up how your buddy down at McCallie. I don't know if we have a name for this this friend here, but obviously not sure how he's involved. But we all know what has gone on. They've dominated Division II AAA and everybody I've talked to and several people around the mid-state have clamored to remove their unfair advantage. And it's half these rosters. If you really look down them up and down the rosters, the last, 2, 3, 4 years, what's the next step here? Because I'm with you. If they don't nip this in the bud within the next year or two, then CPA will be a boarding school. Ensworth will be a boarding school. What's stopping NBA? It's either
absolutely.
it's either stop this now or good luck down the road with all these schools and more issues.
Yeah, but it's kind of like what I asked Mike. If they stop it, then if you all get to the private school division and they'd say, hey, we don't need the NCAA anymore. It's just a microcosm of what's going on in the NCAA. We've got our own deal. We can make our own games. We don't need y'all to supervise us. We don't need y'all telling us what to do. But I'm telling you, Billy, when you watch some of those private school games, and even here in Nashville, everybody's doing it, and everybody's recruiting now. I mean, it's open game. And when you see some of those private school kids, man, it does not even look like high school football anymore. It truly does not. I mean, some of those guys, I was flabbergasted last year when I walked on the sideline and those two kids from Baylor walked out of the locker room, and they had to be two tackles, but they were like, one of them was at least 6'7", and he was probably 350, and the other one was 6'6". He was a little bit smaller, but he wasn't much smaller, but he was 6'6", probably 320. That's not high, like my offensive linemen, like they were normal guys, and we won a state championship, but they were bigger guys. But like, you're getting these kids nowadays that just look the part. They are the part. They start so young. They get trained. They're working out. They're on a meal plan. They're running. They're lifting weights at a young age. It's amazing how much more sophisticated high school sports and especially high school football has gotten since I played back in the early 90s.
2023, it was McCallie and Baylor in the state title. Last year, it was McCallie and Baylor in the state title. And then you keep going back. It was Baylor and NBA in 2022. In 2021, it was McCallie and NBA. In the COVID year, you had McCallie and MUS. So there aren't many years where one of either McCallie or Baylor aren't in the state title. But as of late, it's been McCallie and Baylor playing each other. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see that for the third straight year. But, I mean, Kelly, there was a time where the private schools in Nashville, whether it's NBA, Ensworth, Brentwood Academy, dominated Division II. I mean, just think of Brentwood Academy. They won 4 straight Blue Cross Bowls under Cody White. Ensworth did the same under Ricky Bowers. But all of that changed. And, look, this could be – it was not a flash in the pan because, you're seeing it the last 3 or 4 years. But I don't see the coaches – specifically in the mid-state continuing to put up with this. And again, I don't know what this looks like. I know McCallie proposed some sort of a restriction back in 2024 last year, but I don't think anything really came of that. So I think if any school, it's McCallie that was trying to help. But, I mean, there's no coincidence that they have just been utterly dominant.
Well, McCallie's won it the last 5 out of 6 years, Billy, and all that changed when Ralph Potter, which I think he coached up here. I forget who he coached. Who did he coach for up here? Was it NBA? Ralph Potter? But he changed the landscape when he went down there to McCallie, and they have been a juggernaut ever since he started down there, and he kind of built that program. I don't know if he's there anymore, but like I said, they've won it the last 5 out of 6 years. But Baylor's only been around for about 2 or 3 years now. I mean, the first time a couple of years ago that they got back in the state title game was the first time in like 30-something years, I believe. I think that's what we were talking about on the broadcast when I was doing one of the state games. Now, I don't think it was their game, but we were talking about that. But with McCallie having the success that they've had, Baylor had to start picking it up, and they have picked it up. So now they are the 2 prominent teams in that private school division, and everybody else is trying to catch them, and everybody else is starting to, but like they're boarding people. And I'm just going to tell you, like, if the TSSAA doesn't do anything about it, the CPAs, the Ensworth, the MBAs, the Brentwood Academy, all them, they're going to start boarding, and it's probably not going to be boarding. It's probably going to be host families that are going to do it. And who's going to stop it? Like, are the TSSAA going to stop it? Like, and then if you do stop it, do they have enough power to like put their foot down and say, hey, we're done? And then whereas the private schools say, hey, we're not going to listen to y'all anymore. Y'all are not really doing anything for us. We're tired of y'all dictating to us. We're going to go our own separate ways. And I can see that happening, Billy. I really can.
That's a good point you make, that it is a microcosm of today's day and age of college football as well, with the SEC and the Big Ten likely breaking away from the NCAA and maybe the Big 12. But I do want to talk more about this, especially at the college level, with the news that Brett McMurphy reported today that Virginia and North Carolina are teams that both the SEC and Big Ten wants. Who gets them? Where do they end up? We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Coming up, though, stat of the day, and then you're going to catch up with Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee ahead of their matchup with Charleston Southern. So stay tuned for that. We've got stat of the day. Keep it right here on 94.9 The Fan.
At Electronic Express, we're making it easy to save big this Labor Day with up to 40% off TVs, computers, appliances, mattresses, and everything you need for outdoor entertaining. For a limited time, when you buy 2 or more qualifying LG appliances, you'll get a free 65-inch smart TV. Plus, shopping local comes with perks like free delivery and up to 24 months of interest-free financing. Visit us in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. We've got that.
Hey guys, it's Big Joe from my friends over at Busy Bee. It's August. That means it's back to school time. Listen, I'm a member of the Beehive Club. You should be too. Buy one for your family and gift one free Beehive membership to a teacher, coach, faculty of their choice. Listen, this is way better than a red apple. Just go to busybhvac.com. busybhvac.com. Become a member. You'll love it.
Busy Bee, yeah, Busy Bee. Call 775-7833.
Get ready for an unforgettable night where Nashville's spirit lifts its littlest hearts. Trinetics Rock the Cradle returns September 18th at the Pinnacle at Nashville Yards, bringing a private concert by country music's Tim McGraw. Exclusive tickets available at rockthecradle.org. Every moment powers hope for newborns and mothers cared for at the Beeman Neonatal Intensive Care Unit and the Ascension St. Thomas Foundation. Get tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org.
This week's Nashville's best deals. Score half off a $100 gift card to the always vibrant Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen for just $50. Tap into their scratch kitchen favorites, tasty craft brews, lively vibes, including darts, video games, live music, and the ultimate neighborhood hangout experience in Donaldson. Claim yours at 949thefan.com/deals while supplies last. This deal is too good to pass up. Get half off $100 to Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen at 949thefan.com/deals.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Brett Luna. We're still looking pretty good through the weekend, but we are going to warm up a little bit. We'll have highs back in the mid-80s on Thursday, and then Friday through the weekend, we'll be in the upper 80s. Humidity levels won't be bad any of these days.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Start your engines. Nashville's biggest racing weekend is back. It's the Porchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix, August 30th and 31st at Nashville Super Speedway. The speed, the sound, the stars of open wheel racing are all going full throttle, and you can catch every second of the action right here on 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Racing takes over Music City. Don't miss a lap. Your sports live here on 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
We got a visit with Clark Lee, Vanderbilt football coach, coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecenters.com. All right, today we're going Vandy for stat of the day. Last year, Commodores won back-to-back SEC games against Alabama and Kentucky. Its first back-to-back SEC win since 2022. Can you name the two teams Vandy beat back-to-back in 2022?
Were they SEC teams, Billy?
Yep.
Florida and Kentucky.
Boom. You got it.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Because I remember you were not with us on the show. Yeah, I think that was, I don't even know. No, we hadn't even started yet. We started in 2023. But that was 2022. Vanderbilt had gone on the road and gotten Clark Lee's first SEC win as a coach, and they broke a 24-game SEC losing streak. And then they come home to beat Florida, and that was a surprise because that was Anthony Richardson, quarterback at Florida, who struggled mightily in that game. And I think we figured out that he hasn't really changed a whole lot in the NFL career. but yeah, Florida, Kentucky. Obviously, the wins that Vanderbilt got there in 2022. All right. Now we're going to check in with Clark Lee. Vanderbilt's got Charleston Southern Saturday night, 6 o'clock kickoff. You can watch it on the SEC Network. Vandy's a 38.5-point favorite. We talk a little bit about what stands out about Charleston Southern, some injury updates from Clark Lee, also the new South End Zone, how that feels being able to play inside basically a brand new stadium. So here is my interview from earlier today with Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee. With the weather we're going to be getting on Saturday, I think it's supposed to be around 80 degrees, a little bit different than last year against Virginia Tech. In terms of the prep, obviously as a coach, and I mean, I don't know how you can't like the weather we're supposed to get on Saturday. In terms of the prep, though, obviously you guys, I remember being outside more to make sure you're ready for the 11 a.m. kick against Virginia Tech. Has it been a little bit different this year, this time around, especially with a night kickoff?
Well, we got some real heat when we started camp, and so I think we got our heat exposure early. And I'm actually really glad to see the temperature projections. And I'm not a weatherman, Billy, but it sounds to me like you're telling me it's going to be really nice. So that's all good. So you take that again. There's always going to be an element of your exposure, exertion. This will be our first game. Experience. And so, the guys are going to sweat. It's still about how they take care of their bodies, how they hydrate, how they prepare themselves for what that's going to feel like. But should be a great night for football. And again, not something that I think will distract us from our performance.
Obviously now, Coach, in today's day and age of college football, it's hard to expect much from any opponent, or know what to expect from any opponent, especially coming into a season in week one. But what does stand out about Charleston Southern? Obviously, you had talked Tuesday about the difference, with their offense. But what kind of challenges do the Buccaneers present?
Well, I think anytime you have a new coordinator, you're going to kind of have to stick and move as the game gets going and really understand where they've settled. Because it's not just about his system, it's about how they're fitting their system around their personnel. I feel like there's some real flashes on this team. They got a receiver that's a really good player. I mean, he can line up and play in our league. He's been clocked at 21.7 in a game on the GPS, 6'3", 200 pounds. Makes contested catches really well, and they have a design that can get him into space. And so, again, in a situation like that, if we're not on top of, the details of our coverage, who's closing the middle of the field, how we're communicating and we're passing off some of their exchanges, you let a guy like that break free through the middle, that's going to be a touchdown. And so your mistakes become big plays become touchdowns, and that's a formula for Charleston Southern to win a game on the road here early. So, they have the weapons. They're going to fit the system around who those weapons are. I think they've got some quarterbacks too. One who's back healthy, one who transferred in. I think that will be ready to get the ball out to the what is effective skill, and they're going to force us to be on our details. But that's our challenge. I think to tell the guys all the time, this game's about us, whether you're playing Virginia Tech a year ago or Charleston Southern this year. We have to take ownership of our strategy, our identity. We have to execute with detail. We have to build trust in the way we prepare. for the opponent. And, we need to take the next few days and really feel good about the plan in all three phases, how we're executing the plan, how we can anticipate being in the right position. And by accomplishing that, by the time we're playing on Saturday, you hope the guys are out there having fun.
Coach, looking at the depth chart, there aren't too many positions where you look at the guys behind them that haven't played football here at Vanderbilt or don't have experience elsewhere as transfers. How have you seen the depth turn into what it is now heading into year 5 with your roster, and how much does that excite you about, hey, guy goes down at a certain spot, let's pick it back up and carry on forward?
Well, obviously that's critical to winning. And, when you're forcing true freshmen into playing time before they're ready, when you're having to rely on guys that maybe aren't above the line, which we did here, early in my tenure, that's challenging. I think when you talk about the way this league can kind of strip away your depth and how you're going to need to run 3 waves of defensive linemen out, where you're going to need to have a next man up mentality in the offensive line and have 8 or 9 guys that contribute in that unit. In our league, you can't win unless you win up front. And so having quality depth is going to go a long way in us sustaining performance. And, our focus right now, we celebrate that, but our focus right now is on, setting a high standard for what that performance is. And again, that requires chemistry. It requires detail. It requires focus, requires execution. Those are the things that we're leaning on right now, because we feel like we have the physical tools to do the things that we set out to do this season. It's about the mental parts of it now and making sure we understand how to prepare for an opponent. But we've come a long way in this program. And I mean, again, we want everything to happen immediately. It's hard to be patient for anything in the world anymore. And, I'm no different in that respect, but the truth is this has been a part of the plan and a part of the blueprint, and it's taken us a little bit of time, but it was always going to take a little bit of time. I'm glad to be where we are, and I'm anxious to get this team to a point of performance where, we feel like as we have quality depth, we also have a team that can execute and play at a high level.
Coach, at Tuesday's press conference, you joked how, you're different than a lot of other people, probably a lot of the players that, you could go through fall camp every day of your life, the monotony of that. But how does it feel now to have a game on you week 1 and preparing with this group? You've done it for 4 years now, beginning year 5, but just how does it feel from your perspective, along with the other coaches, to have this game week on you guys now?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Again, you spend so much time in preparation for these 12 scheduled opportunities, and you just want them to go well. But I think beyond that doesn't even really, I don't think, capture how I really feel. I'm excited to be out there with this team. I'm excited for them to have the chance to play. And yet my job is to not just, wait till Saturday. I've got to make sure that we're doing the things, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that will unlock the performance we want to have. And this will be the worst performance we have all year, because inevitably you strengthen as the year goes, and you learn about your team's strengths and weaknesses when you measure it against another opponent. So I think right now what I have to be really intentional about is making sure that we're not going through the motions and just looking forward to Saturday. We have to learn how to prepare for an opponent. We have to learn how to execute a plan. We have to learn how to play through mistakes in the week and learn through mistakes in the week, so we tighten that plan down, so that by the time we're playing on Saturday, we're playing with anticipation. We're getting to our technique faster than the opponent. We're contesting space really well, and we're doing the things we need to do to win. And so as excited as I am to get to Saturday, I'm really interested to see how this team squeezes everything we can out of the next 3 days to ensure that we're ready to play.
Last thing from me, Coach, you've said before that you'll play anywhere, drop the football down. We'll go out and play in the parking lot, but you will be playing in front of a new South end zone on Saturday night. And obviously, hopefully the crowd is tremendous. That's going to be different for Vanderbilt fans, but a pleasant surprise. And how does that make you feel as an alum, as somebody from Nashville, to sort of introduce and kick off a new stadium, really, a different looking one from last year too.
Well, I'm grateful. I think sometimes I let the conditions of a couple of years ago. You don't put a lot of energy into what that stadium felt like and looked like, as we had a scoreboard hanging on a crane in the end zone, in a dust storm that would kick up. At that time, you're just, hey, where do you want us to dress in the pitching lab? All right, let's go. We came out of a tunnel that looked like a Rector set, and so, back then that wasn't our focus. Our focus was on trying to put the best team we could on the field, knowing that we had a young team and an inexperienced team, and we had deficiencies, and we were just focused on the football and trying to do the best we could. Last year, the stadium got a little bit better. You could start to feel what it would feel like to be in there upon completion. And now this year we get a chance to play in what I think is going to be a really neat environment. It's our job to allow our performance to ripple into that stadium, to inspire people to show up, to inspire them to bring their energy. We do that by focusing on the football. And so I'm grateful for this project coming to an end, and I'm proud of the fact that I get a chance to be a coach as the environment and as the program's changed, the environment's changed. I think that's really neat. I also think that we can't stop, and I know Candace feels the same way, that this is just the first step in what needs to be kind of a long range overhaul of our physical spaces to equip our program with what it needs to be a force in the SEC. That's always been the vision, but certainly when we're out there on Saturday, I'll take a moment in warm-ups just to soak it all in and to be grateful and thankful. And then again, it comes down to the football that's played. And I think the better we play, the more we'll encourage people to show up, the more we'll fill that stadium up, the more energy that the fans will bring, and the more exciting the experience will be. And that's my job.
Vanderbilt, Charleston Southern coming up Saturday, 6:00 on SEC Network Plus. Coach, good luck Saturday, and thanks again for the time.
Thanks, Billy.
That's Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee from earlier today ahead of Saturday's game against Charleston Southern. Kelly, they're 38.5-point favorites. Obviously, we're not going to be breaking this game down. We'll talk more, of course, next week when Virginia Tech is upon us, that trip to Blacksburg. But I'm interested to get your take on one thing. When you've got a quarterback like Diego Pavia, who fits so well in this Vanderbilt offense, as a play caller, and because look, our season hinges on Diego Pavia. It hinges on his health, and I say that in that if he gets hurt and seriously hurt and he's out an extended period of time, that's a big deal. That's gonna make it everything a lot tougher on Vanderbilt. Not that they can't win games, but you're in the SEC, so that makes it tougher. As a play caller, how do you approach that when you want to keep your quarterback healthy, but you also want to continue to have him play his personality and continue to play tough? Like that's something I'm interested in with Tim Beck this year.
Yeah, that's interesting because you are right, Billy. We talked about, and I've asked for the last three weeks, I guess, everybody about the amount of quarterback play in the country, and with all these guys transferring, how can you learn an offense? Well, Diego Pavia is one of the more experienced guy in that offense because he ran it in New Mexico State with these guys, and then he brought it to Vanderbilt. So he was probably teaching the guys around him at Vanderbilt that he hadn't been around, and that was his new team, and he probably helped those guys just as much as the coaches helped. So his experience in the offense is man, that's huge for Vanderbilt and for the offensive staff. Now, when you're playing a Georgia Southern and you know how important he is to a team, I don't know. I'm sure as a staff, you sit around and you talk about it and say, hey, and I'm sure Clark Lee steps in there and says, hey, here's what we want to do. Like, we want to keep him out of trouble. We don't want to cause him to put himself in situations where he can be in trouble. But once again, the way he plays football, he's like a bull in a china shop. And that's just kind of his personality. That's who he is. And you can't ask him not to play aggressively because that's kind of what got him to where he is. So if you're asking him not to play aggressively, then you're not going to see the Diego Pavia that everybody wants, everybody needs, and the Diego Pavia that wins games. So that's a fine line there, Billy, because when you're playing a team that you're heavily favored, you know you're going to win. You know you need him for the regular season in the SEC and how tough that schedule is. That's kind of a balancing act right there. You want to get him in. You want to get him some work. It's kind of like preseason in the NFL. You want to give him some work. You obviously want to win the game, and you want to look good doing it, but you don't want to keep him in there too long if at all possible. And, it's been a while since we've talked about Vanderbilt this way.
Yeah.
They're 30, what'd you say, 38.5-point
Yeah.
favorites. So, sometimes we've talked about this in the past, and then that game has got kind of tight at the end, and then you still got your starters in the game. I don't think it'll be that way this Saturday. Yeah. I really don't, because I think Vanderbilt's I think they're kind of over the hurdle, but that's a tough balancing act with Tim Beck and with the offensive staff to try to keep him out of trouble.
Well, can the defense help in that? I mean,
absolutely.
And even more, they feel like they've got better receivers and better weapons around him this year. You've got Stowers. You've got another tight end in Bryson Coleman, who I think could do some things this year in the passing game. You've got Trent Hudson, who comes over from New Mexico State, who played with Pavia from a couple of years ago. McKylan Young, a running back who's listed as their second-team guy, comes over from New Mexico State as well. To me, you look at that and you go, okay, you got some better weapons. What else can help Pavia stay healthy? You could sit here and say it's luck of the draw. Like last year, the injury that really did him in a little bit was Deion Walker of Kentucky falling on him, a guy that's 6'6", 320 pounds. And that's football. But how can Vanderbilt do everything they can to keep him healthy? To me, that also goes defensively. It goes to his receivers, the running game. Take carries away from Pavia too, Kelly. So
that's right.
How much can the defense help? How much can the running backs and the offensive line help to maybe give the coordinator the ability to not have to feel like he's got to give Pavia the ball, more possessions?
Well, you know that to begin the game when your defense comes out there and they're really dominant and the offense just has no answers for what they're doing on defense. They can't block them. They're stuffing the run. They're getting pass pressure when they know that they have to pass. So when you've got a dominant defense, that gives an offensive coordinator, hey, I don't have to be – it's just like what happened last year in the Oklahoma game when they played Tennessee. Tennessee, he's like, they can't stack up against us running the football. So that's what he did, and he didn't want to put it in the air. It's kind of like the same thing here. When your defense comes out and they're dominant and you know that Charleston Southern cannot score, they cannot do what they want to do, that gives an offensive coordinator, he can take a deep breath and he can say, hey, I can get the ball out of his hands. I don't have to call that triple option stuff. I can give him some powers where he can hand off. I can counter with the running back. I can do all that stuff where we don't have to use him and utilize him in the run game. And that's if your defense does that, and Tom Moore used to always talk about it too, like offensive football is it's unlike defense because everybody's got to be on the same page. The offensive line has to block. The running backs have to block if their guy comes in pass protection. The receivers have to be at the right depth, at the right width on the field. They got to be where they're supposed to be, where the timing picks up. The tight end's got to do what he's got to do. He either chips or he goes out for a pass, and he's got to be on the right yardage of what his depth is in the receiver. So it's all a concerted effort offensively. So I don't know if you can a Diego. I wouldn't want to be constrained like that. Like I don't know if you can constrain a guy like that. But when you're going to win a game like this, you want to keep him healthy because he is the ultimate guy in the SEC where a team needs him, and that's Vanderbilt. They need Diego Pavia healthy.
And you're right. This is a game where he shouldn't play the second half. Same thing with Utah State. They're not as bad as Charleston Southern, but those should be games where he doesn't play in the fourth quarter and you're able to rest him. And he also shouldn't have to be carrying the ball as much as he did in the Alcorn State game and Georgia State. and some of the other non-conference games from last year. So we'll keep some of the Vandy talk going. Obviously, they got Charleston Southern on Saturday, huge favorites, and we'll keep talking about them. But we're going to open up the phone lines, 615-759-9949. Again, the number 615-759-9949. You can call us. You can text us from that number. Also, the chat room is open on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So fire away your comments and questions there. We'll get them answered, whether it's Vandy, Tennessee, other college football games, or other pieces of news from the update you got you want to react to. We can react to all of that. So phone lines are open now. And I also want to get your take, Kelly, a little bit later on North Carolina and Virginia. Where are they going to end up? SEC, Big Ten. We got all that and more coming up next right here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
A golf cart from Mikey's Motors is the perfect way to get around this summer. Whether you're going to the park, the pool, or the playground, do it in a brand new golf cart from Mikey's Motors, Franklin and Murfreesboro.
Summertime fun in Tennessee. That's what we sell at Mikey's Motors. Come see how we roll.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling. They enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. Guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
Hey, this is Andrew Allegretta. Hope you can join me, Norm Jordan, Kevin Ingram, and Jake Lyman this Saturday from First Bank Stadium as Vanderbilt football opens up the season versus Charleston Southern. Coverage starts at 4:30 on 102.5 The Game.
Your sports live here on 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back on I start my camera there here on a Wednesday in Nashville alongside Kelly Holcomb. Billy Derrick, George on vacation. He'll be back tomorrow with Underdog Picks and then back full-time on Friday with our Football Friday coverage for high school football, getting you set for another week of high school football. But, Kelly, we got a question. I'm going to go to the comments first from Ben on Twitter. Super Bowl prediction this year. Who's it going to be, Kelly?
I don't know. Benny. I coach Benny at Riverdale. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I really don't. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, like if they can stay healthy, I don't know if they can repeat, but man, when you can run the ball and when Jalen Hurts stays healthy, and if he stays healthy and they run the ball like they did last year, now they lost some guys. So I don't really, I'm going to say them, and I'm going to say, man, I got to go with the Bills, man. I got to think Josh Allen gets over the hump this year with the Kansas City Chiefs. I hope that's the case. I don't know. I want somebody to supplant the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm tired. Everybody gets tired of success. I'm tired of seeing them in the Super Bowl. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, you've always got a shot, and they do such a good job in the front office of getting players. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans got one of their guys, Mike Borgonzi, and I just think they do such a good job. But you would like to see maybe Cincinnati or Buffalo, but I'm going to say Buffalo and Philly.
Well, the odds on FanDuel right now, Ravens and Eagles are tied at the top with the highest odds at plus 700. And then you got the Bills at plus 750, the Chiefs at plus 800, the Lions in there at plus 1,100, the Packers up there at plus 1,800. I want to say the Lions. I want it so bad for the Lions. And
I do too. Absolutely.
But last year was a huge shot for them, and they're still going to be a really good team. But Kelly, anytime you lose both coordinators in the NFL, that's tough on you.
Yeah, it's truly tough on you. You want to create a sense of consistency in the organization, but that guys are going to leave. That just happens. And when you get both coordinators going to be head coaches, that's saying you're doing a pretty good job of hiring guys at the right positions. But when they're good, if they're good enough, they're going to leave. And that's obviously what happened to Detroit. I've always been a Jared Goff fan. Now, Jared Goff is worse than me. He can't move at all. But I'm just not sure, Billy, that he can get them over the hump, man. I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl with the LA Rams. He took them there, and then Matthew Stafford won it for him. But I don't know, man. I'm for him. I love watching him play football. I think he's a good player. Sometimes he has some tough games, but I'm just not sure at this part of his career. He's so immobile. Like, I think he was a little bit more mobile when he was younger, but I think he's so immobile. Like, I'm not sure he can get him over the hump. I would love to see Detroit and Buffalo in the Super Bowl, and I would have to go for my Bills, obviously. But I don't know. It's just so hard and everything with free agency. Lamar Jackson's he's got to do it first. Like, he's been there a couple of times. But he has home field advantage, but he can't get over that hump either. So that's going to be a bone of contention for him, because when you're there so many times and you don't win it, then that starts creeping into your mind and you're like, can I win it? And it starts working on your confidence a little bit, Billy. So I think Baltimore's really good, obviously, with him. I think he's gotten to be a really outstanding all-around quarterback. I didn't think much about him when he came out of college throwing the football, but now he can sit in that pocket and he can throw the football. But until he does it, I'm just going to say no.
I don't hate the Commanders pick either. I don't know that they win it this year, but they are plus 1,900 on FanDuel to win the Super Bowl. They could get there. I mean, what you saw from Jane Daniels last year, and they got McLaurin back now, and they've added a few pieces too. I like that Commanders team as well. All right, let's hit the phones. We got a couple on the line. Keep them coming. Keep your comments coming in the chat room as well. We're going to kick things off with Tony in Nolensville. Tony, how you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Billy and Kelly, I'm sure both of y'all are doing good. Kelly, did you get out and hit the little white ball this morning?
I didn't, but I did Tuesday, and I got I got a new set of clubs, Tony. I got me a new set of clubs. I've had the old ones that I've had for years, and I decided that I'd go ahead and splurge for some new clubs, and I ended up shooting a 76. It's a little different, but I was happy with them.
Hey, can I have your old ones?
It sounds like yours. Sounds like you like them a lot.
I'm trying to get in the 60s though, Tony. I can't. I told you I had 60 a couple of weeks ago, and I blew it. I don't think I choked. I got so mad though at the end of the round that I just totally blew myself up.
Billy, I was never quite that good. I got down into a single handicap one year, and that was about it. But I'm normally a C player in my day, and of course my golf game's dropped off quite a bit due to some health issues and all. But yeah, it's always fun to talk the golf game. And guys, before I get to talk about a little bit of Vanderbilt, did y'all happen to catch any of the Indians? I know they're called the Guardians, but maybe they need to take a page from Cracker Barrel and go back and rebrand themselves. Cracker Barrel took a big hit on all this new logo and new naming and all this other stuff. So I still call Cleveland the Indians. I know Darren McFarland wouldn't like that, but you got to be a believer. I think that was the song they used to sing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Stay with the Yankees. Do what, Kelly?
I said absolutely. That was his song when he used to do the underdog picks. Be a believer.
Be a believer. Today in the Yankees game, in the third inning, get this, guys, if you didn't see it, 77 pitch half inning. The Yankees hit 4 home runs, 1 or 2 doubles, a single. They were a triple short of the cycle in the half inning. They batted, I think, 14 or 15 players, scored 9 or 10 runs, and but 41 minutes of an inning, half inning. It was unbelievable. And I mean, I'm like, baseball games are kind of drawn out long now anyway, even though with all the metrics they put in there trying to shorten it. But that was a long day. But unless you were a Yankee fan, they were playing in New York. But that was a lot of things come out of that half inning. And in doing so, they had Judge and Bellinger hit back-to-back home runs, becoming the first team that had all 3 outfielders so far this year to hit at least 25 home runs each. The last time it was done was in 2003 by Georgia's Atlanta Braves.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, and Gary Sheffield. And that was all 3 of their outfielders have hit at least 25 or more home runs. And the last time it was done with the Yankees was in 1941, the only other time it's been done. But that was a long 1 hour of watching that particular game. I think the final might have been 11 or 12-1, but it was crazy.
Yeah, 12.
Kelly, you're right. This is one of those games where you want to get in, you want to get all the jitters out of the way. New stadium, Billy. Last time Vanderbilt had anything similar to this, remotely like this, was 1980. The renovations when they beat Maryland. It was a lot of hype, a lot of stuff going on with it. And so you've got that. You want to get the win. You want to come out of it clean, no injuries. But I do think that you want to go through your routines. And Kelly, you know this as well as anybody. You want to go through, pregame and then your preps, get through the first half. I always like to come back out when I played in these type of games as a player and never did coach on Kelly's level or nothing. I like to come back out of the halftime at least keeping that routine and regiment of knowing, what you're going to do coming back out of halftime. And I think with the game hopefully in control, in hand, that you'll go through those routines maybe for the early third quarter, get a series in, maybe two. But then I think at that point, with the score, depending on what it is, you pull your starters. Don't you think that's a good method to that too, Kelly?
Yeah, I think that's what they used to do in the preseason, Tony. Like the last preseason game, the fourth preseason game, the first, I think it was the third preseason game. They would like to go into the locker room and do halftime adjustments, and then come out and get a series in the first series of the third quarter. So yeah, that is good because you have to, you got to treat this kind of like a preseason game because, Charleston Southern should not beat Vanderbilt. We all know that, and I think Vanderbilt's kind of gotten over that. A couple of years ago, maybe not, but I think that's a good. That's a good formula for getting your guys in. They play the first half, come in, do some halftime adjustments, and then go out and be ready for the second half and have a series of the second half. And that's the way it's always been done ever since I played, Tony.
True. And Billy, and with Virginia Tech down the road, your next game up, you don't want to show all your guns in a game of this nature. You want to. I think you just want to get in there and take care of business. But, guys, looking at the schedule, and I'm going to leave you on this, there are some intriguing SEC games. There's intriguing games across this country right off the bat. But one I thought I found interesting, last year Vanderbilt caught a lot of flack going to Georgia State. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Well, this year, right off the bat, you've got Mississippi State going to Southern Miss. Now, that's in the home state. Could be a little rivalry there. But I found that interesting that Mississippi State would be going to Hattiesburg to play Southern Miss. And, and they better not count that conference short. Your son's been in it. You've seen it, Kelly.
Yeah.
Southern Miss, Troy, and Tulane. That's a good conference. It's a good conference. So, guys, I'm going to leave you alone. Let y'all talk a little bit more on this. Good show as always, and looking forward to talking. Y'all going to have Danny on tomorrow?
Danny is actually having some outside issues. He's going to join us Friday, Tony. So we'll have him Friday.
Good. All right, guys. I'll let you get some more callers. Always good talking to you. See ya.
Thanks, Tony. Brother. Yeah, that's a good point. And we talked a lot about the Vanderbilt Charleston Southern deal. After that Clerkley interview, it's about setting yourself up. You've got 2 road trips to Virginia Tech and South Carolina, week 2 and 3. That's what it's about. You got to set yourself up for those 2 games. You can't. It's about an opponent. You got to beat Charleston Southern, but you got to set yourself up well for those 2 road trips. Let's go to George on line 2. George, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Finally, it is football season, and I got to tell you, I am really excited. I think that this team has a really nice combination of some exciting transfers and some returning veterans. Obviously, you've got guys like Pavia and Stowers. One thing that I think is pretty interesting about this team is a couple of its leaders are some walk-ons. Richie Hoskins, I thought, had an awesome clip during his podium session at media availability when he was talking about perimeter blocking and how the wide receiver room takes great pride in that. I think they should just show that clip to a bunch of high school coaches because if you're a high school coach, I feel like that's a great message to send to your team, and I think that that's really cool that somebody who plays a position that is known for being divas publicly said something like that. Look, I know Richie Hoskins is not a star, but he's going to be a contributor on this team, and I thought it was really cool that he used his platform to show that.
Yeah, Kelly.
I think that people... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Billy.
I was just going to add on to that, Kelly. I don't think you've heard it, and maybe we'll try to find it for the next couple days. But Hoskins was, talking about his background as a walk-on, and then was asked about blocking, like George said, and he said he loves blocking there on the edge, but it's also within this offense that sets you up as a receiver in this offense. You've got to block. And if you don't block, your butt's not going to be on the field.
Yeah, most guys say that, but a lot of guys don't mean that. You know what I'm saying, though? I can remember. But here's the deal. Here's the deal, George. And I can remember our offensive line coach when I was in Indianapolis. When you have a big play down the field in the running game, that means that the wide receivers are blocking. They have to block because you're not going to get big plays in the run game if wide receivers don't block. And when you get to the NFL, a lot of those guys, man, it's hard. I can remember he was getting into our old line coach got into it with one of our receivers who's now in the Hall of Fame, and they got mad at each other and they started yelling at each other. And he said, if you don't like it, I'll memo you how you're supposed to do it. So it's cool to see that. And you do get some guys that enjoy that, but most of those guys don't, George. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, Kelly. I just thought it was really refreshing to hear that. I mean, I feel like with this team, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, what are you waiting for? I mean, hell, I don't live in Tennessee, but I'm coming down to see him this year. I'm coming down to the Auburn game. Kelly, Billy, you're welcome in lot 2. We'll have a couple of adult beverages before the game, some Conquer and Prevail ales.
Nice.
I'll be there, George. I'll be at all the home games and might make a road trip or two. But Kelly, he's right. I mean, if you're not a Vandy fan and not at the game on Saturday or making your way over there this year, what are you waiting on?
Yeah, I mean, because this team, I feel like if they're going to really have a special season, this is the best shot that they're going to have in a while. And one thing, too, that I wanted to bring up, I know that you guys have talked a little bit about Nick Rinaldi on this show. I think it's crazy that this is his 5th year playing football. The guy only played 1 year of high school football at public school in Massachusetts, by the way, prior to Dover Sherborne High School in Massachusetts. I think he might be the only SEC player who's from a public school in Massachusetts. I don't have Google handy, but I think if you were to look it up, that's pretty crazy. And Billy, I know you're not going to like this as a Notre Dame fan, but I think they should make a movie called Rinaldi instead of Rudy. I think Nick Rinaldi's arc from getting his first career sack against Jalen Milroe in Alabama to then going on to leading his team in sacks in the regular season and then being a menace and sacking Haynes King twice in a bowl game, that's more impressive than anything Rudy did at Notre Dame, Billy. I'm sorry.
Agreed. I agree.
I'd watch that movie. That'd be a good one. But no, Rinaldi has an interesting story. Clark actually called him Zach Rinaldi on accident a couple of years ago because he was a walk-on, and apparently Clark didn't even know his name. So he's made it a long way from back being a walk-on who Clark didn't even know his name.
Yeah, that's true. And before I go, guys, I want to thank you for taking my call, but also I'd like to propose a rule about trash talk. I've been hearing from a lot of volunteer fans about, Vanderbilt can't do this, Vanderbilt can't do that. I would like to propose a rule. If you haven't won a national championship or SEC championship since the new millennium, you're not allowed to tell programs about what they can and can't do. The last time that the Vols won anything, there was crappy dial-up internet and people thought cargo shorts were cool. That was a long time ago, Hoss.
Nice. I like it, George.
George, we'll take you up on that one. Maybe we'll start a trash talk segment.
Okay. Yeah, and please tell Tony Basilio that anytime he says anything disparaging about Vanderbilt. I know he's always good for a couple of little shots at my school. Tell him that the next time he says anything.
I will. George, thanks for the call.
All right, be well, guys.
Hey, buddy.
George in Boston. Always an entertaining call.
George in Boston. Nice.
All right, we'll talk more college football. I want to finally get into that North Carolina Virginia news. But coming up next, we do have a comment here from somebody on YouTube. When's the last time Vanderbilt won a championship? That's a fair point.
Fair.
That's a fair point as well. All right, we'll talk more college football expansion and maybe get a few hot takes, bold predictions on some of these games. They're kicking off tomorrow. I know we got underdog picks tomorrow, but we might touch on some of those as well. So we got more coming right up here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here. You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're back on a Wednesday. The George Plaster Show, 4:48 is the time. Got a quick final segment here, and then we'll do Bet of the Day. But Kelly, earlier today, Brett McMurphy reported that North Carolina and Virginia are teams that the SEC and the Big Ten will likely be fighting over. To me, North Carolina is a team that would be a no-brainer. Virginia, not as much. So this feels like a real fight for North Carolina. Now, obviously, Virginia has had a good basketball program before, but we've talked about how much this is about football. And I know Virginia invested a little bit more this past offseason in football. But with those two teams, where do you think they end up? And, you know, if it's one or the other, how does that impact the expansion? Because to me, there's still a question of what does Clemson do? Because if the ACC dissipates, which we know likely will happen at some point in some form or fashion. Clemson to me is more of an attraction for the SEC. Miami, more of an attraction. I know you've already got a school in Florida, and the markets, getting into different markets, the SEC's already got pretty much every market covered in my opinion. But North Carolina, Virginia, I mean, how much value is with those two?
I think North Carolina is they want that. I mean, the SEC network is in North Carolina. It's in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I think they want that footprint. I think it's all about footprint with the SEC. I think the Big Ten just wants to gobble everybody up. That's kind of what I think. I think Virginia is. It seems like that Greg Sankey and the SEC has done a pretty good job of staying in their air, like the Southeast. The Big Ten doesn't care. They go all over, obviously. But the Southeastern Conference, it seems like he wants to keep that Southeastern Conference. So I think North Carolina is a must. But you look at Clemson and you look at Miami, which you brought up. They've already got a team in South Carolina, which is the University of South Carolina. I think Clemson would be a great add-on, but like they've already got that market there. So like, why do they need Clemson? And then you look at Miami. Well, they've got Florida in Miami, so they're not. I don't think they got Florida. They got the University of Florida in Florida, so I don't think they're worried about the University of Miami. I don't know. It's going to be fun to see. I don't know if it's going to be fun to see. But this new expansion, what they're going to have, I don't know about Virginia. I think it would probably help Virginia more than it would help the SEC. Virginia's been kind of down football-wise, but I think it's still that blueprint of being in the South. And I think that's why they desperately want North Carolina, and they would probably get Virginia as well. But I think if the Big Ten goes after those schools, I think that's going to be a battle there, especially for North Carolina. I think they'll go hard after North Carolina because, like I said, the SEC network's there. They've got their big footprint in North Carolina, but they don't have a team there. So they want to get in that market for sure. I just don't know about the Virginia deal.
As it stands, the Big Ten has 18 teams. The SEC has 16 after the realignments ahead of last year. Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA went to the Big Ten, making the conference coast to coast. The SEC added Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12. So what do the next steps look like here? If North Carolina goes to the Big Ten, and they very well could. Brett McMurphy also reported this and picked up a quote from Bill Belichick. He said, I think that one is over my pay grade when asked about potentially joining a different conference. He said, I have a ton of respect for Tony Petitti. I think he's done a great job as commissioner. Sankey and the SEC, for that matter. Whatever the conference commissioners and NCAA college presidents decide is what they decide. I'm going to kind of back out of that one. So obviously you're not going to get anything from Bill Belichick there. But should North Carolina and Virginia leave, you would assume it's a package deal rather than two schools going to two different conferences. So if that's the case, let's assume North Carolina and Virginia, and those would fit the academic profile of the Big Ten perfectly. Let's say they go to the Big Ten. That gives 20 teams to the Big Ten. The SEC, if you keep them at 16, who do they attack? Where do they go next? I mean, you look at it.
I mean, is this the ACC falling apart? Is that what you're saying? The ACC going away?
Yeah, slowly.
I mean the teams that you talked about. I think if they do get that, which I just think the SEC will go after them really hard for some reason because I think they want to be in those TV markets.
North
I'm
Carolina,
saying they're
Virginia.
not now. Yeah, North Carolina and Virginia. But if the Big Ten scoops them up, then I think you got to go after Clemson, Florida State, and Miami. Don't you?
Yeah, I'm with you. If you don't get North Carolina and Virginia for the ACC, or if you're the SEC rather, go get the big dogs, Clemson, Miami, FSU, and then
absolutely
that gives you 19 teams. So do you end up going to an even number? You probably do, and then you probably get another team to fill that in, whether it's Virginia Tech or whoever. But what's the next domino? That's what I keep wondering, and nobody knows. But nobody knows, man. That's what Sankey's looking at. But he's not going to be the guy to lose because he was too slow. I think Sankey's going to react quickly in my mind and be the first one. I mean, Because look, he was the first one to initiate it with Texas and Oklahoma. So I don't think he's going to be coming in second place in any of these.
But that's saying that the ACC is going to up and fold. And we had who did we have on a couple of weeks ago that said that he didn't think that was going to happen. That might have been a couple of months ago. But like I don't know. Like if that does happen, you're going to get the Big Ten and SEC obviously going after some schools. I think. But you listen to Greg Sankey and he sounds like he's happy where he is. But if this expansion stuff does come about, he's been proactive in what he's done, and I think it was huge that they got Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, those are two of the bigger programs in the country. They're blue bloods. You look at the Big Ten, like Oregon. I mean, they've come on the scene the last 2 decades, but like Oregon, when I was a kid, like nobody ever heard about the Oregon Ducks,
Yeah.
Same thing with the University of Washington. They have a season or two every now and then that's pretty good, but USC is really the only one out of there. But like the SEC hit a home run when they went and got Oklahoma and Texas, because I'm sure everybody wanted those two schools, but they came to the SEC, and I think just listening to Doring and hear him talk sometimes, I think North Carolina is a must because of the SEC network, and then the Virginia is you may be right, it may be a package deal, but if the Big Ten comes in and gets them, then there's got to be another move to be made, and I think you go hard after Clemson, you go hard after Miami, you go hard after FSU if that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what happens. Who makes first move? ACC, whether or not they dissipate, I think they will. We'll continue to talk about that. But you saw the news there, North Carolina, Virginia. It looks like it'll be an SEC Big Ten battle there. All right, I'm going to try to go 3-0 coming up after the break. One last night. Let's see if we can keep it rolling here on my behalf. I'm not even calling it George's behalf. Keep it right here. 94.9 The Fan.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Chevrolet in Russellville. You know about our car care giveaway, right? Well, did you know we have a second giveaway for every person who buys a new vehicle from us? It's our free lifetime warranty. That's right. It covers your engine and transmission for as long as you own your car at absolutely no cost to you. It's the ultimate peace of mind. This month, get a chance to win free oil changes and tire rotations and get a warranty for life. That's how we help you change your experience. Come see us today or shop online with Newton FastPass.
Ponce Law is the only injury law firm with the Crash Cam Network, capturing accident footage on highways across Middle Tennessee. Injured in an accident? Call Ponce Law. We offer a no-fee guarantee, and for over 30 years, we've been helping injured people just like you. We've been voted best law firm multiple times. I'm Michael Ponce. If you've been injured, call us today at 615-244-4321. Ponce Law, justice for all.
Hello, everyone. This is Chris Eakes from Tennessee Prep Weekly, and we're back for another season of high school sports coverage. If you love high school sports, then 94.9 The Fan is the place to be. This year, the show airs on Monday nights at 6. We'll be covering your favorite players along with your favorite teams, just as we've done for the past 14 seasons. So you don't want to miss a moment. Make sure you join us for Tennessee Prep Weekly, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office on Monday nights at 6, only on 94.9 The Fan.
Macero in 12 South isn't just another Tex-Mex joint. It's a whole experience. Bold flavors, handcrafted cocktails, a space that's equal parts cool, comfortable, and totally unexpected. From the second you walk in, the vibe just hits different. Every dish tells a story. Every visit feels like coming home, just with way better queso. Perfect for date night, catching up with friends, or flying solo with a margarita in hand. Macero. Enjoy the space, enjoy the food, enjoy each other.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final second on a Wednesday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. You take a look at what happened last night. Got another win with the Yankees. Had the Mets on Monday night, had the Yankees last night. And yeah, these haven't been crazy, ridiculous bets. I haven't really gone out on any limbs, but I'm going to keep it rolling tonight. Again, those are Georgia's results from over the weekend. 24-29. I am 2-0. And tonight, I forgot the graphic. Look at that. I'm still, that's a C note for me.
That's a shock. Shocking.
Tonight, I am going with the Cardinals. Cardinals minus 174 against the Pirates. Sonny Gray on the mound, former Vanderbilt pitcher, and he's not losing tonight. So I'm going to keep it rolling at 3-0. What do you think, Kelly?
I hope you go 5-0. I'm telling you, man, I really do. I hope you go. Hope you win all week. So George cannot. All you got to do is every time he does it, all you got to say is, "It's not that hard, George. I went 5-0." I hope you do that.
I mean, that's gonna be fun to show George this graphic if I do go.
And you can bring it. You can bring it up from now on forever.
Exactly. It'll be my ultimate trump card. All right, that'll do it for tonight. For Kelly Holcomb, I'm Billy Derrick. We will see you guys tomorrow. Underdog Picks. The crew is back at it tomorrow. So we will see you guys tomorrow right here at 94.9 The Fan.